What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop. In this episode, we'll be reviewing the 2022 season. Let's get into it. So this season was absolutely nuts. It was just crazy. Like, from where we were last year to now is just unheard of. You know, second last to 1 point off an unlikely grand final appearance. It has been an incredible ride. At times, it's been a roller coaster, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But for most of the year, it has been. It's just that's the word to sum it up. Just incredible. What an incredible season! And yes, we missed out on a grand final by 1 point, and yes, we probably would have made it a lot better than Sydney did. Definitely wouldn't have lost by 81 points to the Cats, but. You know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And unfortunately, yeah, we just didn't have enough of it in us in that game against Sydney a couple of weeks ago to take the next step into the grand final. But what I saw and what we saw from this team, this coaches, this new administration has given me, and I'm sure you guys, such a fire in your belly that you're going to be, coughing up embers for so long. Like, it has lit a match. It's like we were drinking kerosene, lit a match, and now there's that fire in your belly. And it's just, it feels, everything at the Pies feels right. It just, from what we went through, and yes, okay, but Luke, you made a grand final in 2018 and a prelim in 2019. Yeah, okay. But 2020, 2021 were absolutely shithouse seasons. Like, that's no other way to put it besides shithouse. And to what we are now, we are just a different club. It's like a new club has come into the competition as the Collingwood Magpies, and here we are. And that's thanks to Craig McRae and his coaches. They have rejuvenated this list. They've given new legs to the old guys on the list, a new lease on life, if you will. And everyone, or mostly everyone, is buying into this new culture and this new era at Collingwood. And it's just brilliant to see. So it all started in round one against St Kilda. We didn't really know what to expect. We saw a little bit against Hawthorn in that pre-season sort of hit out when it was like 6 periods or whatever it was. We saw a little bit of what we were going to expect. But going into the St Kilda game, we saw a fast attacking style of footy that would only develop as time went on or as the season went on. But you leave that St Kilda game after that win and you go, one, wow, Marvel Stadium is still Marvel Stadium. But two, you could tell that it was going to be such an exciting year for us. And, that might not have meant that you thought we were going to finish top 8. It just meant that we have sort of found a little gameplay niche that works with our team and that now Craig McRae and the coaches are exploiting. And it's just fun football. We haven't had a fun attacking side of football for years and years and years. And, I've alluded it and said it a couple of times already in previous videos. This was as much fun of a season as it was in 2011 when we were absolutely blowing teams out of the park. Sure, we're not doing that just yet, but it was very exciting to watch. And it all started in round one against St Kilda. Now, at the start, we had ups and downs. This is the roller coaster that I allude to. Lose some games we should have won. Won some games that, we should have lost, really. The one low light of my season is that West Coast game. Ultimately, look, we still finished top 4, still finished in the top 8. We made a preliminary final. So, on the surface, it doesn't look like it bit us in the arse. But if you delve a little deeper, losing to West Coast, when we definitely shouldn't have, but losing to West Coast hindered our chances of a top 2 spot, which meant that we eventually go on to play Sydney in Sydney. Just how the, things sort of dip. It means we versed Geelong in the first week and stuff like that. So that doesn't help. Also, if you look at the Geelong game, there's another low light being 36 points up or 30-something points up and then losing that game. But the third low light for me, games-wise, is that preliminary final. In the first half, the Sydney put 73 points against us. And then, you know, we come out, we fight back from 5 goals down, and we lose by a point. And I love the fight back. I absolutely do. But it just made it hurt a lot more. And, you know, we deserved, I know nothing is deserved, but we deserved to be in that grand final. Albeit, you know, you don't let teams score 73 points in the first half and expect to win. So it was a bit of our fault as well. But those were my 3 sort of lowlights for me this season. Sorry, I should also add that Western Bulldogs game where Scott Pendlebury was laid out with the flu. I don't know if the flu was just going through us, but that was probably the worst I had seen us play all year, including the West Coast game, including the start of that Sydney game. Yeah, that was diabolical as well. That was like, okay, maybe we've counted our chickens before they've hatched because that was crap. But then, what happens after that? The 11-game winning streak. Now, perfect segue into my highlights of the year. That 11-game winning streak. 11 games. Are you kidding me? We haven't done that since 2011. That was fun. That was fun. Like, yes, we won 11 games in a row. Yes, we were winning games. Sometimes by a kick, sometimes, you know, by whatever the thing was, by less than 11 points for 9 out of those 11 games. But that was fun. It was fun to watch. Not good for the heart, definitely not. But it was fun to watch. And in those 11 games were Jamie Elliott's match-winning goal after the siren on my 30th birthday against Essendon. So that one's one I'll never forget. Beating Carlton twice, knocking them out of finals. Taking on Perth in Fremantle, which started it. And beating them when they were like second on the ladder and they were flag favourites or thereabouts anyway. Coming back from the Kangaroos game when we were down, when we should have just smashed them out of the park. So there was a lot of games that were just fun. Sorry, I said that Carlton was in that 11. They were in that 12 of 13 wins in that period, not in the 11-game winning streak, because that was stopped by the Sydney Swans at the SCG in round 22. But like I said, that was just very fun. Like, yes, heart rate, the defib and stuff like that, but it was fun to watch and it was fun to be a part of. Winning close games, you need to win close games, of course. Hopefully, you know, next year there's no close games and we're just blowing teams out of the park when we should be. But this year we had to do it the hard way, and 11 wins in a row. Like, there's not much more you can ask for. We secure a top 4 spot in round 23 by beating Carlton, knocking them out of finals. So that was definitely one of the biggest highlights. But bigger than that is, like I alluded to before, the game plan. High pressure, high tackling, fast, play on at all costs, the run off the half back, you know, the tackles inside 50, the dash, the excitement, the flair. Amazing. Like I said, this hasn't happened to me personally. I haven't seen something like this since 2011. We're just playing fun, attacking, exciting football, kind of like what Richmond were doing in 2017 as well, which makes sense because, you know, Justin Lepage, Craig McRae, so it makes sense that that's the sort of game plan that we're emulating. It was just really cool and something that we'll carry on for years and years and years to come. It'll develop. We'll get a bit more scoring to us. You know, we win those close games, but we hopefully don't have those close games anymore. And that's the sort of thing that I want us to do. Just build on this. The foundations are there, because you got to think that this is a game plan where it just got started like in pre-season. The guys had to buy in straight away, and Craig McRae had to use the team that he had. And they all bought in, and look where it got us, within 1 point of a grand final. Heartbreak in the end, but the journey to get there was just absolutely incredible. So another highlight, of course, is Nick Dacos, and I can list off a bunch of players that I think did really well, and I will a little bit later on in the season. But Nick Dacos was a highlight. Seeing another Dacos on the park, seeing him link up with Josh, kicking a couple of goals. You got to think that he came through in COVID-affected years. So I think he played like half a dozen games in 2 years or something ridiculous like that. They might not be the actual figures, but he's only going to get better. We got him for pick 4 we ended up getting him for, right? So that's crazy in and of itself. Looks like he's already played 300 games. I'm more excited for Nick Dacos 2.0 next season, another preseason under his belt, to see exactly what he can do. and how he makes that transition from half back to the midfield, which we all know is probably what's going to happen. Maybe that Pendlebury replacement, maybe. I hope Pendlebury doesn't leave, but that could be what we're looking at. These highlights are just going to keep coming because there's just so many good things to talk about. 100,000 members. I was one of the guys that didn't really think we could get there, like, especially after finishing 17th and stuff like that. But a credit to the Collingwood new administration and Collingwood in general and all the fans. To hit 100,000 members, to be the third club to do it this season is incredible. It says a lot about where we were last season. I think we hit 72,000 last season. To now get 100,000 by the prelim, in part thanks to, I think Nick Dacos was a big part of it. The rise up the ladder, the 11 wins in a row. Everyone wants to become a member to sort of secure finals tickets, secure grand finals tickets, and that's just what it is when you're a big club and you're doing sort of that and you want to get to that many members. And yeah, we broke our own membership record, and that's absolutely amazing. And yeah, it's the rise up the ladder, which is the biggest highlight of them all. To go from 17th to 3rd on the ladder is, I think it's unheard of. I don't think it's happened a lot. 1 point within a grand final. So it has been just a season that it probably won't happen again, this sort of season where, not talking about close wins or anything, I'm talking about seeing a team be right at the bottom to just, so close to a grand final. I don't think that'll happen again for a long time. And I'm glad it was us that saw this rise. I don't see any other real team down the bottom sort of doing that. Because we did still have a good list. We just needed a good game plan. And then Craig comes in and just turns the club upside down for in the best sense of the phrase. And now we're just, we're just sitting in the high life in the top 4, top 3. And we can only get better from here. I think this season can be summed up with 3 words: hope, belief, and heartbreak. Heartbreak because, that prelim losing by 1 point, the Geelong final losing by 6 points, that just sums up that sort of heartbreak that, as Collingwood supporters, we're probably used to. And we don't want to get used to it anymore. We don't want to see it anymore. But the positive to come out of that heartbreak is that we were a kick away in both finals from the grand finalists, and we were a kick away to matching it with Geelong in a grand final. So, although heartbreak, comes hope and belief. Craig McRae, the new administration, the players, the club, everyone at the club, the social media team, everyone has brought in hope and belief back into this club that wasn't there for 2 years after 2019, after the heartbreak there and heartbreak in 2018. We lose Buckley halfway through last year. Robert Harvey comes on. Eddie Maguire leaves, or Eddie Maguire gets sacked, really. So the hope and belief that has been instilled in Collingwood, that can be shown physically as well. It can be shown in the matches where we come from behind and win, or we fight until the end and we win with a kick after the siren, or we're down by 5 goals to Sydney in a prelim and we're fighting back and we lose by 1 point, even though we don't get the win. That is hope and belief. That is buying into what Craig McRae and the coaches have been saying all preseason. I remember at the start of preseason, at the start of the year, Craig McRae said, someone asked him, what can the supporters expect? The supporters can expect us to fight. If we're 60 points up or if we're 60 points down, we will not stop fighting. And that garners the hope and belief, and everyone starts buying into it. And, there's times where you go into three-quarter time, 4 or 5 goals down later on in the season, and you're like, wait a second, this isn't over. We've been here before and we can come back. Whereas in past seasons, you go, all right, we're 4 or 5 goals down to the Kangaroos, and that's it. That's just classic Collingwood, typical Collingwood. We're going to lose this game. But not anymore, because like Craig McRae said, you have to fight every single minute to try and beat us. unless you're putting, unless we're down by 90 points at three-quarter time, we're going to come back. We're going to come back hard. We have that hope. We have that belief because we don't want any more heartbreak. We don't want any more heartbreak. And Jesus, hope and belief will get you far. It'll get you reward for effort, and that's exactly what we're seeing at this club now. Like I've said plenty of times, this has been one of the most fun seasons I can ever recall. Obviously, 2010 was fun. 2011 was the most fun, besides, the heartbreak there. This has been a really, really fun season, and the older generation of Collingwood supporters are having fun, and it brings in these new generation of Collingwood supporters, and it's a good time. The atmosphere is electric at the MCG, at Marvel, wherever we play. The atmosphere is absolutely electric because the Magpie Army are out in force because they can see a vision for this club now and something that we haven't had for a long time, and we can finally see it. My predictions for the Copeland coming up on Friday night, I think Jack Crisp wins it again. He has just had a phenomenal season. I know people will probably say Nick Dacos. I think Nick Dacos finishes top 3. I think it'll be Jack Crisp, Nick Dacos, Braden Maynard. Maybe, who could finish 4th? Maybe Darcy Moore, and then Scott Pendlebury will finish top 5. I think that's how we round it out. Because Pendlebury's had a great year. Darcy Moore had a great year. Maynard, all these guys had great years. But that's how I see the top 5 finishing. All in all for this season, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Could have been 9.5, maybe. But a 9 out of 10 sits about right. Losing 2 finals by a kick each sucks. But like I said, it was something that we were able to, it shows with a benchmark. They're the 2 benchmark teams. Yes, Sydney got smashed in the grand final, but they're the 2 benchmark teams, and we're just nearly there. We just have to take that through to next season. 9 out of 10 as well because, like I've talked about, the loss to West Coast, the loss to Geelong, to Brisbane, to the Doggies, those losses in previous seasons would have destroyed us. But those losses, we started to learn from. The mistakes we made in those losses, we applied in a positive way to our other games, and we started learning from it. We don't have to go when we're up or we're trying to hold the ball, and we can slow down if we need to. And it was just very much a work in progress this season. It'll be fine-tuned during the preseason, and we'll see the full product next season. Now, coming up is the free agency and trade period. It starts on Friday. I'll be releasing a video a little bit later on in the week with my thoughts on who's going, who's leaving. Maybe I'll do a tier list as well. But until then, let me know your thoughts down below on how you saw the season. What were your positives? What were your negatives? As always, I love to hear all your thoughts. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.